Hi designers, this is Rebecca and today I'm going to show you how to lay out your novel in InDesign. So let's go ahead and click on the New File button and get things set up. In the New Document window, we're going to choose Print from the profiles along the top here. I'm going to change my units to 11, and then for this book it's going to be a 6 by 9 inch book, but just make sure you always check your specs before entering in your pages. We're going to keep our orientation as portrait. We're going to give ourselves 20 pages to start. We can easily add or delete pages once we're in InDesign. Choose the facing pages option there. We'll leave start at 1. I'm just scrolling down here. For columns, we can enter 4 columns, or you can enter as many or as little few columns as you'd like. For most novels, they're laid out in one big wide column, especially on a smaller book like this one, but I'm giving you the freedom to play around a bit with layout for this project. For margins, I'm going to go ahead and unlink these text fields by clicking on this little chain link and breaking it. For the top, I want you to have an inch margin, and for the bottom, 3/4 of an inch. And for the inside and outside inches. For the inside and outside margins, we'll leave it a 1/2 inch. For the bleeds, we need an 1/8 of an inch all the way around, and we can leave the slugs as is. So let's hit create. Great, and now we see our beautiful cover. So let's look at our pages panel over here. If you don't see it, right now I'm in the Essentials workspace, so I just went to Workspace, Essentials, and then Workspace, Reset Essentials, and your window will look like mine for the most part. So this page 1 here is our cover, our front outside cover. So remember, that's always going to be on the right side. So this one right here is our front inside cover. I'm going to go ahead and just label these as I go along just to keep it visually organized for myself. So front outside cover. And then down here, I'm just using my type tool here and making a little window here. So front inside cover. Okay. And then next to it's going to be our title page. And I'll go into depth a little bit more in a minute. This one's going to be our publisher page. This one over here is going to be our table of contents. This one will be either our second table of contents or intentionally left blank, whichever you'd like to have. I don't know why I'm capitalizing all this, but I am. Okay. And then over here is going to be chapter 1, the beginning of chapter 1. Okay, beautiful. So let's go ahead and look at this. So for our front outside cover and our front inside cover, it's confusing over here if our page numbers don't match what's going on the inside of the book. So let's go ahead and fix that in our pages panel. We're going to renumber these pages over here. So click on the number 1 page. You know that it's selected because it's blue. And then go ahead and click on that hamburger menu at the top of the pages panel, the top right corner. And a little more than halfway down that menu, choose numbering and section options. It's going to bring up our numbering and section options window. And then click on this start page numbering at 1. Just click on that toggle there. But for the section prefix, we're going to call this C for cover, okay? And hit OK. Now we know that we see that we have a C prefix across all the pages, which is not good. That's even more confusing. So we do call the front cover C1. We call the inside front cover C2. For the title page and the publisher page and the table of contents and the blank page, we're going to call all those T for title and table of contents, right? So go ahead and click on C3 until it's blue, and then click up here on that hamburger menu, go back into numbering and section options again to bring up that window. Click on start page numbering at 1 again, make sure that's toggled. But this time for the section prefix, type in that letter T and hit OK. All right, so we've got C1, C2, T1, T2, T3, T4, which is good. We want all those things. So Click on T5, double click on it, and that's going to bring us to our chapter 1 page in the document preview there. So up here, we don't want this to be T5. We want this page to actually be page 1 of our book. So we're going to rename these to start at page 1 from here. So click on that hamburger menu again with T5 selected. Click on numbering and section options. Click on start page numbering at 1. This time leave section prefix blank and hit OK. There we go. So now this is looking good. Page 1 over here is actually going to be page 1 in our book, and on and on. However, at the end of our book, we need to bring back those cover titles again. So C3, or I'm sorry, number 13, I double clicked on it. I'm going to write in here, inside back cover. And then back here is going to be our outside back cover. And as you get more of these novels or magazine layouts under your belt, you do not need to add all these little placeholder labels that I'm doing. This is just good to when you're first starting out to kind of keep yourself, mentally like organized and visually organized, right? So go ahead and click one time on page 13 here. We're going to name this C3. So go up into the hamburger menu, numbering and section options. Instead of starting page numbering at 1, this time we're going to start it at 3. We're going to bring in section prefix letter C and hit OK. So now we have C3 as our inside back cover and C4 as our outside back cover. So now everything's cool. Save your document. Great. I'm going to go back up to the top. I could have just double clicked on C1 there for that. So before we start dropping stuff in, I recommend creating your paragraph styles next. So I'm going to click on the title page. And for your title page, you can drop in an image of the text from your cover so that your copy stays the same. So you can drop in a little, like a PNG there of that, or even just an Illustrator file of that. Table of contents is one of the things you're going to do last. The way you do that is you create your text window and then you go up here to Layout, Table of Contents. You can also adjust the table of contents styles to go along with your paragraph styles that I'm going to show you how to make right now. So that's one of the last things you'll do. So right here for chapter 1, I'm going to first create my body copy text. So I'm going to click on my type tool and create a window for the body copy text. So your chapter 1 thing can have like a very large, I'll make this pretty big here, a very large header and title of header 1 and header 2. So header 1 is going to say chapter 1 and header 2 is going to say the name of your chapter. And then down here is where your body copy is going to start. Your body copy can start anywhere between 3/4 or 1/4 of a page down, half a page down, even about a third to 3/4. I'm sorry, 2/3 to 3/4 of a way down your page. Okay, you can have it wherever you'd like. I'm going to start mine about in the center here. And then we need to drop in some text to see how it looks. So I just clicked with my type tool into that window there, and I'm going to go up to the type window and down near the bottom, fill with placeholder text, okay? So like I said, you can make 2 columns here if you'd like. You can make a column spread out just across 3 of these guides. Whatever you want to do, it's up to you for this. I'm making mine spread across the 4 guides for this first page. And now I have this placeholder text. I do recommend taking the first line of your real chapter from your real novel and typing that in here, and just making sure there's no typos because it just looks a lot nicer when it's real words as opposed to Latin. I guess Latin is real words, but you know what I mean. Okay, so we dropped in this text. Now let's go ahead and make a paragraph style for that. So if you can't see your paragraph styles panel, you just go to Window. It's hidden under Styles here, okay? And choose Paragraph Styles. So this is the little icon for it right here. And basic paragraph is what it's always going to default as. You can change in your properties panel first if you'd like. So I can select all this text. I just hit Command A to select all. I can choose what font I'd like. I'm going to choose Ariata for this. Ariata. Nope, that's not the one. It was Aria. That's the one. Okay. So Aria, I'm just going to hit this semi-bold, but I think if I go in here, nope. Okay, my book is semi-bold for now. Usually you do not have bold for your body copy, but this is what I'm doing. So your body copy text can be anywhere between 10 point to 14 points for this project. If you're making a book for Kindle or like an EPUB, you can have much larger text and even market your book as a large text book for people that like to read that. And then, but for now, for this project, anywhere between 10 and 14, nothing smaller than 10. This leading is good with me, and I will change my tracking as I go if I need to. So that all looks great. I do want it to be left aligned. You can also choose justify left if you'd like. So if you choose left align, do not choose the -8 option. If you choose justify this left justify one, then do choose -8 or you'll have rivers running through your text, okay? So when you justify, choose -8. When you left align with a ragged right edge, do not choose -8, okay? So let's go ahead now and go into our paragraph styles panel. At the bottom, click on this little plus here, and then it's going to pop up paragraph style number 1. So just double click on that to bring up your paragraph style options. We're going to change the name of this to body. So that's our body copy style. If I click on basic character formats, we can change things here if we want. So if I'm like, you know what, I am very uncomfortable with that, with the semi-bold text for my body copy, you can change it here. And you can also change your font style, regular, bold, whatever, and hit OK. Great. So now, so in most print novels, the body copy is a serif font. It's just easier to read a serif font in a black type over a white page in print, but it's not a rule. Like I said, you can do whatever you want there. All right, so for our chapter header 1 text, it's going to say chapter 1. And for this header text, I want it to be centered. I want it to be huge. I'm going to pick like really big. You can choose whatever you want. You don't have to be as obnoxious as this by any means. I'm going to choose this. There we go. I love this font so much. And this might be too big because as I get to like chapter 13, I'm going to have a problem there. So let me bring it down a little bit. Okay, there we go. And then you can also change your color, whatever you'd like here. I'm going to choose like a nice, if you see this grayscale option here, you can choose CMYK and it'll bring up the full spectrum. I'm going to choose like a nice orangey color. Yeah, that'll work for me. And then, yeah, I'm good with all that. So now I'm going to make a new paragraph style by clicking on that plus button. I'm going to double click on paragraph style 1 that popped up. We're going to call this header 1. And then just double check this looks good to me. And then down here is where you can change your character style if you decide that you don't want it to be that, and hit OK. I'm going to I can hit return and make a new paragraph style. I'm going to call this chapter Kansas. And I'm just going to select that and make it smaller. I can also change the leading will be bigger for me, maybe even bigger than that, because I'm going to put a rule between here. Okay, so that looks good. And then I can change the color to, let's make our paragraph style first. So click on create new style, double click on paragraph style number 1, and then change this to header 2. And then over here on the character color, I can change my color here, or I can just give it like a little different tint and hit OK. And see the difference there? It's very subtle, but I like it. So that's three paragraph styles there. So I recommend still going in and maybe making a header 3 and a header 4 um, if you want to. And then if you decide over here on your title page that you're not going to drop in an image of your text, you're just going to type in your text here, then you will also make a paragraph style for your title. Okay, so that's that. Now let's go ahead and make a few more things. So for our outside front cover, I can delete this placeholder text. You're going to make a text frame, a rectangle text frame using the rectangle text frame tool there. It's not this one below, it's the one with the X through it. For this, you're going to click on that bleed in the upper corner and drag it across to the bottom corner bleed. And then from here, you'll drop in that PDF that you export from Illustrator with the crop marks. And I'll show you how to do that in the next video. Over here is going to be our inside front cover. If you'd like, you can create a pattern in Illustrator and export that as an image and drop it in here, or you can just give it a blank color. So I'm going to click on this rectangle tool here and click and drag from the bleed line, but this time just to the center mark here to our gutter there, okay? And then in my properties panel, I'll give it a fill. I can give it a black fill. You can give it any color you want. I'm going to give it a gray fill. So about there. That works for me. This is where you'll drop in your title page information. So obviously that's going to also include your author and illustrator, as well as your publisher's logo at the bottom. This is going to be your publisher page. So just look at the inside of your novel. It's going to have the publisher name, like this big paragraph of a bunch of stuff, a bunch of locations, like where it was published, as well as the date it was published, the year. Okay. Then over here is your table of contents. You will drop it in from layout. You'll choose your body copy style. You can even make special table of contents paragraph styles if you'd like to do that too. And then over here is an intentionally left blank page. For me, I'm just going to get rid of this and I'll leave that page white. Okay. So now what I recommend, because all these pages require headers and footers, you can make those in the pages, the parent pages here. So I'll show you how to do that next. Let's go ahead and double click on the parent page to bring it up in the document window. First of all, I recommend putting in margins. So if you don't see your rulers along the top and side here, go to View and Show Rulers, yours would say. Okay, or you can also just hit Command or Control R to bring those up. I'm going to click in this top ruler and drag it down. I want to have 1/4 of an inch from the top and make sure that I never go into that area. So I'm going to need to do it for both pages here and line those up. Great. And then I want to do it from the bottom as well. So I'll bring it all the way down and go to 8 3/4 of an inch on that ruler. I'm looking at the ruler over here on the left side as a guide to make sure that these fall in the right place. Oop, undo. I get a little jumpy when I release my mouse sometimes. There we go. Great. So now those guides will show up on every page since we're applying them to our parent. And then we can create, if we would like, a text frame box for our headers. If you'd like, you can also throw in a colored header that runs along the top with this same rectangle box that I used to drop in that big gray box, gray rectangle on the inside front cover. So you can do that. You would drop in your color first, and then you can drop in your text box above it. So, sorry, not the rectangle frame tool. You want the text type tool to drop in your text box. So over here, the copy that's going to be on your left side is going to be the name of the chapter. So I'm going to click on Properties. Now that I have this type box in here, I want my my text to be centered, just me personally. For that, you can choose what you'd like for those. And then we can give it a property style. A paragraph style. So I would just do body, or you can make a new paragraph style that is header and page number, or header and footer, whatever you'd like there. let's go ahead and do that. Let me type in the name of, oh, no, I'm not going to type it in yet. Sorry. Okay, we'll just call it body copy for now. And center it. Oh, okay. We do have to make a new paragraph style because my body copy is left aligned, isn't it? So let's make a new paragraph style and we will call it header, not header, oh, that's confusing because I have these other ones as headers one. So let's call it um, chapter title in heading. Okay, there we go. See, you can get as long as you want with your titles there. Okay, cool. So that's centered. And then we also need to choose our selection tool. Once we do that, our properties panel is going to activate a few more fields here for us. We want to go down here into text frame at the bottom of the properties panel and choose option. Down here in the text frame option pop-up where it says align, we want to choose either bottom or center because that's going to pull us away from that top margin to keep us clear there. So now if I click in here, you can see it's dropped that cursor to the baseline of that box, okay? That looks good to me, and I can go ahead and, with my selection tool, hold down Option or Alt on my keyboard and click and drag and copy this so I don't have to do all that again over to this side. So on my left side, it's going to say the title of my chapter, which is Kansas, and then over here it'll say Chapter 1, okay? So that's the headings. I keep calling it header. I'm sorry for the confusion. Then at the bottom of the page is going to be where we'll have our page numbers. So if you have your page number over on the left side, you can choose to have it in the left corner over here or centered. And on the right page, it could be centered as well or over on the right side. So just make sure they're both on the outside or they're both centered on each page, not one or the other. If you have your page number on the left side, then left align that text. And over here on the right side, you're going to right align the text. So it falls along the same edge line as your body copy. It looks really clean. If you have your text box in the center, you want to choose the center alignment there. And then same thing, you can go up once you have your boxes where you want them, go to the selection tool to bring up your text frame option in the properties panel, and you can choose center or bottom there, okay, and hit OK. And then click this, drag it across to the other side, but change your alignment to be right alignment there. So once you're done, let me just go ahead and do that real quick. I'm going to hold down my Option or Alt key, drag it over here, and right align this one. Make sure this is left line. I'm good to go. Okay, so now when I go back into my pages, those are saved as the parent properties. So all these pages have this A on it. That means the A parent has been assigned to it. That's the only parent we have anyways right now, so that's cool. So we can see up here now there is this little dotted line showing us that we have a heading up here for the chapter. Our new guides are there to keep us out of these, away from our trim line. And we have a box for our page numbers. Because these are part of the parent, from the parent pages, from the parent master, we cannot just click on this text field like we can with the text fields that we added ourselves. So to activate those to add in your stuff, you just need to hold down Command and Shift and then click on it, and it makes it active. And then you can go ahead and write in chapter 1 and give it your paragraph style, okay? It looks like it didn't apply the paragraph style for me, but that's fine. So you can just click on it and then go into your paragraph style panel and do that. And then you go through and enter your page numbers the same way. Hold down Command Shift and click on that and enter with your type tool page 1, okay? And on, all right? Oh, that's the title page. So don't do that on that page. Do that on page 1 and so on. So actually on page 1, you do not use that header up there, that heading, because it says it right here. But you do use it starting on page 2, like I said, chapter name, and then chapter 1 over on this side. So let's thread some text. I'll show you how to do that next. So when we see a text box like this with a little plus on the end, that means that there is overflow text. Okay, so to get that to fix itself, we're going to hold down Command or Control on our keyboard and click on that plus. It loads that text up onto our cursor. From there, you can click and drag in these guides that you created to thread the text between the different text fields. All right, now let me go ahead and show you what that looks like. If you go to View, we want to see our text threads. Where is that? Extras, show text threads. So sometimes people, when you're in the selection mode, you should be able to see it. There it is. So sometimes people turn that off because you just have all these blue lines going everywhere and it could drive you a little nuts. But it does show me that this text box is not connected to this one. So I'm just going to click on this out port at the bottom right corner of a text box and then hover over into the next text box where you see that chain link go. And now it threads those two. So your text will flow from text box to text box. Okay. So then when you get to a page where you'd like to, let me go ahead and make a new one. You can just click and drag and click on the selection tool, click on the box to show your outport, and then hover over the next one to thread it into the import up here. Okay. I think that I can just hit return and go back up into type, fill with placeholder text. There you go. Okay, great. So you will want to go through this and clean up your paragraphs. I recommend you either have a space, like an extra line break between paragraphs with no indent at the beginning of the next paragraph, or you choose to not have a space and instead indent, and you indent with the tab button. You do not indent with spaces, okay? So then you just go through and you can change this in your paragraph style. If I go double click on body where it says indents and spacing, you can choose your left indent to be, let's see, move over, let me see if that, oh, I'm sorry, that's not the right one. Not left indent. We need first line indent. And you're going to want it to be anywhere from 1/4 of an inch to about there, 3/8 of an inch. Okay, so that looks good. All right. So you don't have to use the tab. You can undo these tabbed ones there. I just hit delete. Okay. So you do not tab and extra line space. If you choose the extra line space, you get rid of that indentation. Okay. Great. And the very first row of text will not have an indentation whenever you start a new chapter. Okay, so we've got all that. Let me show you to bring in your poster artwork. You just do not go to the bleeds on that one because it has its own border inside. So you can click there and drop that in with your villains and your hero portraits. You know, they can be as large as you'd like. You could put it in a circle or an ellipse, whatever you want. You could make it be a polygon, it could be a triangle, whatever shape you want for those you can. Okay. And then your back cover. And for the inside back cover, I'm going to treat it the same way I treated my front inside cover, which was giving it a gray fill there. And so the appearance property is exactly the same as in Illustrator. So you just treat it like you would in Illustrator. All right. All right. Thank you so much for watching. I can't wait to see what you make.